Down. All right, we got the bucket. You've been notified to the ground.
There's just something dramatic and satisfying about building a skyscraper.
2, 1. Hold it again.
Especially when you get to the top. It starts with a soaring vision, a striking design, a set of blueprints, and a well-orchestrated construction plan. It takes a special breed of men and women working dawn till dusk, day in and day out, to build the extraordinary. We're taking you beyond the fence, 535 feet sky high with Flintco and Keystone Concrete, to show you what it takes to form, pour, and finish the level 50 roof slab at 44 East Avenue. Pouring a concrete slab and baking a cake have a lot in common. Both require a special batter, specific ingredients and other additives, plenty of mixing, a pan or form to achieve the desired shape, and time to bake the cake or cure the slab.
All right. Yeah, it's here.
But that's where the analogy ends. Before the team begins work on level 50, the supporting columns are framed and poured.
These are prefab column forms. They ship them in, already chamfered to the correct dimension, and then all we do is drop them straight in over the rebar. Saves a lot of time versus building them on site.
Planning, prefabrication, and experience keep the process moving quickly.
Filled up this 3-yard bucket, now about to pour it into the column forms that they flew up earlier.
A vibration tool helps the concrete batter settle, adhere to the steel bones inside, and deliver an appealing finish.
We can get a couple columns with this same 3-yard bucket.
After the columns are poured, the framing crew install the falsework, the temporary structure that supports the pan and stripped away once the concrete is cured.
We need Ruben up here to shoot laser level.
No, what we do first, we use a gauge stick and we get it closed within a 1/4 inch. And then once we get it all framed out, decked out, and we'll come back and shoot it in with a laser.
Okay. At this step in the process, the guys are raising all the verticals, tying those in with aluminum slats. When we talk about shoring and framing, you can kind of compare that to baking cake. Concrete conforms to whatever form is below it. So similar to what a pan is in a cake process is exactly what we're doing here, which would be essentially the bottom of the pan that the concrete would be resting on whenever we place it.
Activity on level 50 is fierce. Banging hammers and ripping saws are like a rock and roll rhythm section with a beat that drives the team as they frame, deck, and form the structure. Unique to the roof slab, prefabricated steel beams are embedded in the deck to support the building's massive cooling towers.
We're going to set that on top of the formwork, and then you'll form to the back side of each embed and cast it all at the same time. Okay, all right. We've got our W12x45s prefab welded together. That process started in Houston. From there, they bring it in, set it here on the formwork that we're actually standing on. We get all the 6 sections connected together, weld those out, and then once we form up the concrete ring beam, we should be able to walk away at the time of the pour.
With the bottom of the formwork complete and the steel beams placed according to the drawings, edge forms create the sides of the cake pan and keep the heavy concrete batter, weighing in at 150 pounds per cubic foot, contained. After the edge forms, steel workers, also known as rod busters, install the rebar.
Rebar because it reinforces and it's a bar. You may notice that it's not smooth. It has raised indentions to help the concrete adhere fully around the rebar to give the concrete a structure that it can be supported from. Think of rebar as the bones of the slab. It basically keeps the concrete from wanting to do a bow and crack. These blue things, you can get a longer span and bigger spaces by having post-tension cables that drape and then stretch At a certain point, once our concrete cake is baked a little bit, we will take an instrument that actually stresses that cable. And again, what that's doing is where the concrete would want to bow, it basically raises the concrete flat. You may notice that it's not just reinforcing and post-tension cable. There are a lot of other things that you find in the slab pour. You'll see things like this. That's where we're gonna run our electricity and get power to the spaces below. This is where we'll penetrate the concrete slab with a 14-inch pipe that goes to the roof mechanical equipment. This is how the building's gonna get its air conditioning. Every concrete pour, every slab pour comes with its own set of challenges. We're at level 50 right now. We have about 12 hours to be ready to place concrete.
Because our schedule is pretty bunched up, pretty tight, Terracon comes out, inspects the rebar, and then a few hours later we're gonna pour level 50 here. Still missing those stirrups.
With the late afternoon sun kissing the Austin skyline, Keystone Concrete is driving toward final inspection and placing the concrete batter into the building's cake pan for the final slab. Typically, a high-rise uses an 800 horsepower pump system to deliver wet concrete at a rate of 50 cubic yards per hour. However, the complex logistics of the level 50 pour dictated a safer approach.
All right. Yeah, it's clear.
Bucket the concrete to the top, but at half the speed.
Call the cake.
We had to make a last-minute decision to use a bucket instead of a spider pump on top. It's a long, slow process, pouring about 3 yards at a time. We'll get it done probably about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
The team starts pouring at midnight to avoid traffic, keep the concrete flowing, and avoid impacts to construction progress in other areas of the building during the day. 59 buckets and 11 hours later, the team successfully delivers 176 cubic yards of concrete to the top of 44 East Avenue. As the final concrete slab cures, post-tension cables are stressed, and the ring beams at levels 51 and 52 are poured, the building is officially topped out.
It's kind of one of those unseen dangers that we have at the final process of concrete. Essentially, we're taking the bottom of the pan from our concrete cake and removing it so you've got the nice clean surface underneath. We've got the forms and form tables getting ripped out, and finally ripping down the plywood that goes. It's a little bit more dangerous part. We got all of our areas stripped off, good to go. Make sure that everyone around us is notified during our 6:30 huddle so that we can have a safe day. Concrete's a lot of hard work. Pretty hot, long days, but we just topped out level 52, 51 were the ring beams. We were able to bucket those successfully, hit our scheduled milestone on time. Hats off to our concrete guys that do a lot of hard, long hours, day in and day out to get this item done. A lot of hard work and determination that gets all the crews to where we are today.
And that's how you get to the top of 44 East Avenue. Level by level, 50 times over, tying 5.6 million pounds of rebar, supporting 157 million pounds of concrete. Now that's a lot of cake. Join us next time to celebrate topping out with the men and women of 44 East Avenue who show up every day with their passion, vigor, and talent to build the extraordinary. Because without them, we would never leave the ground.